How you living? 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 Yeah. How you living? Smiling. I walked past your building. The candles were gone. Gray like watching two men carry off a pair of her glass lamps. The duties of friends are vast. Complex, how we do when every answer is yes. It's our job to praise the gone poet before writing a blog post about the offerings at the altar. Ready-made, the things should be made to speak. Her sister and I at the post office, taping over logos on moving boxes, didn't play the dead person card till it was necessary to get out of there. I was hungry. Fashion, blast, quarter. Young film comes again, color the image away. It mutes love. This color gets thought. It mentions hours, absent the sapphire, all the wet birds and webs, blackout anomaly. Away tundra, away marble, her conversation foregrounded. It's private. She found your drawing. Next spring, the supplicants can learn to tell time. Practice on her. Clothes communicate themselves. The gum of a shell, what is that? Get selection, get lungs. A small example. Returns are growing. You mentioned aspire. Bring me the Playboy jet, sparkling wishes, a whole universal and hovering body. Please hurt me. Overlapping and mean at the palace. Ideal metals make a hostile sound. In reference to the wrong part of music, material fills the interstices. The swizzle stick is blue glass. If you are alone, just keep swizzling. Take thoughts to the lake and dump them in. Noise at the end of a record. When the tone arm hiccups, rescue it. A string tied around your finger to remember. Punk rock selection criteria keep showing up. Run, run, run. Show off your dirtiest self. You can't leave it. Curb alert. Fight against a blessing, past surface. I want to be around Friday night. I want to be your dog. Hammer and saw, maybe a background accident. The tape? Just keep swizzling. It is all accident. Bear with me now. Put it on ice. Or don't bother. Go to nature. Some bird on a branch is losing its mind. Your golden hoop earrings tight around your skin. Ligaments have memory and want to shake, shake in distress, often out of rhythm or sequence. The dragonfly will sew up your lips, your eyes, your thirst for muddy fields. Touch the hoop, flick it like a ladybug. How y'all living? Stopgap sex act into someone else's struggle. No one's a suffragette. It's an obsolete technology. Intent on tape delay. If you don't have a hard drive, that's okay. Pass around source notes like a joint. Beautiful and fulfilled, obviously high. Down with the contemporary dimension. An adult doesn't court on an empty stomach. An adult doesn't face fuck on an empty stomach. What do you call that game? You flinched. snowbank, delivery room, a place the mind can go alone. Cover up gaps in memory with a joke. Adults have relationships. Nice work. Blank or just muted. My name? I don't entertain. If you came here for a story, put this in your mouth. Count backward from 100. Gray market riot. Treasures dumped out on porches, abandoned strip mine of yard sale reference. Therefore, the lava and tide games thought we invented playing at avoidance, establishing a context for the problem. Holes are abstract pleasures, if you didn't know. They give direction to feeling, the Cadillac of fake pee kits. Water drunk at the drug test facility. Eclipsed. Trailheads. I still worry my body is too childish for the lightning fields. To sleep near anyone. I don't get invited to weddings. Breath, once spoken, overflows, manages to tease. This conversation is over. Your hand sanitizer is in the backpack. Scribbling escape artist with arm's length negotiation. A lot of shit will never happen. No one goes fading that fast. House and factory are forums for making. Each is good for habitation or avoidance of nature. When you decode, discover the productive negation, a new weapon. Difficulty is not meant to yield a brief or personal self. Your choice supports a consequence with meaning that looms, a tentative opening. Miss the word about living. No time to treat the symptoms till after the plane lands. I carry a crock pot 2 miles, and my family doesn't understand what keeps me busy. The movement's now called occupied time. Crossing out of mind, I accept what is bearable in flesh. Erosion is not beautiful, not accumulation. Can fragments be organized? The structure would have to return and return and return. It would have to pierce as it looped, make an alloy. Traditionally, she is handcrafted by small-scale producers. A village can boast dozens of production houses. Today, variations still exist, each imparting a particular character to her. She is highly varied. If added at all, then beauty is added during the marketing stage. Some state that beauty is a ploy. Others claim that beauty is there to prove she is fit to consume. To truly be called she, the body must come from certain areas. Certified for use in the production of her, but some in-demand she's come from elsewhere too. To produce an authentic she with the hopes of competing for a piece of both national and international markets. It is a misconception that some she's naturally contain beauty in the body. Only certain bodies are ever sold. Beauty only began as a gimmick in the 1940s. However, the misconception continues, and even with all the effort to represent her as a premium, similar to the way cognac is viewed in relation to brandy, there are some opportunist producers for the party market who blur these boundaries. A she with a scorpion, do not recommend, but for those willing to try. Selection of bodily she's. There are rituals associated with her. While she is generally not mixed with any other liquids, some add salt or eat lime or orange slices with her. She is an acquired taste. In the last decade or so, she has been exported, Government agencies help small producers obtain the equipment and techniques needed to produce high. National Program for Certification of the Quality of She certifies places of origin for export products. She is sold in 27 countries on 3 continents. She can be used as antiseptic, very dilute eye wash. As a solution, can be especially toxic to infants after repeated use. She has a slow elimination rate. Generally considered safe for household kitchens, she can be used in combination with salt and curing, or in a gel form, an injectable paste. Prevents reaction between alkaline and aluminum. To make fire green, she dissolves, popular among fire jugglers and spinners, can react, can manufacture with her. She can reduce oxidation and protect the precious surface. The title of this poem is, I don't want to talk about my problems. I don't want to talk about my problems. I get so emotional, baby, when I set my iTunes to shuffle. I walk down your street, but not on purpose. Let you know, in case you want to hang with me. I'm at a birthday party. I just peed with my backpack on and felt like an animal. There's a cute bartender here, too bad you're not here. My heart pumps out real objects. I have to show you because sensations are parasitic. My love will destroy me if I don't let it out. A humiliation like any old public disease. Here it is, just exactly like I knew it would look. My love repeats, it's never too late, and I can't quiet it. Disregard the pleading, it was part of my process. In the back of the theater for the spaghetti western, I want to know when you think about me, so I'm being golden and texting you. It's the anniversary of something in my life tonight. I could be talked into moving across the country. I'm eating slices of salami and watching softball. This is not for my benefit. Low-grade kindness is white noise to a socialite. I could learn the habit of not acknowledging. Anyway, it's been really fun getting to know you. Deja vu is possibly just narcissism, which is an art. The title of this poem is something that McGregor Card said to me. And the title of this poem is Massive Externalized Violent Intimacy. I don't know who I was going to stab with the knife I kept under my pillow. Probably not my boyfriend, who sent me home so he could take other girls to the bar, who came to the restaurant I worked at with his new Russian girlfriend, Veronica, who he told me shaved her bush bald. After the end, I let him fuck me with my short shorts on, and the worst part was, I kept my sneakers on too. We drank cider then because it didn't taste like anything, and I got a side crush on an eyeliner punk at the tattoo parlor. We said you weren't addicted to anything you could live without for 3 days. You were the middle, knew what I was before I did, in the dark, in the yard, the first time I told you never. I went from bad to worse. Still throw money at a problem, because someone sweet tucked 20s in my glove box before I met you. Thanks.
Excuse me. Okay, so first I wanted to thank Z, Jamila, Mia, and Belladonna for inviting me to be a part of this, which I think is an amazing event, and it's a wonderful way to keep Akila's work in people's minds, and it's very important work, so I'm very grateful for that. I'm going to read 2 pieces, one very short, one very long. The first piece I'm going to read is taken a piece that I've written out of a quote I read by Akila about grief. in an interview that was published in Bomb magazine in 2010 by Susie DeFord did the interview. And I guess I'll say that I've been thinking about grief a lot this week. So this is a poem from Akila's words. Good grief. The term ranges from emotion to death, many states of the word. Oh, before I read you the poem, I should probably read you the quote. Sorry. Grief is a complicated emotion, but also an inadequate word in many ways. Maybe it isn't so much that the term fails to encompass a range of emotional states, but I think also death itself, as an event, as a field of an investigation, is too many things at once. It's solid and it's slippery. Akila Oliver. Good grief. The term ranges from emotion to death, many states of the word. The term slips from inadequate to encompassing, but also a field. The term inadequate states, I think I limited the field. The term isn't grief, it is investigation, slipping into itself, failing emotion. Grief encompasses death itself, an event too many things at once. Grief is an event, a limit, a field at once solid and slippery. Grief complicates inadequate words. In many ways, I think it is also death itself. Grief limits investigation. The term itself thinks death. Emotion fails death. It's too many ways of complicating grief. Emotion isn't solid. It's inadequate words. Emotion states a complication of limits too solid to fail. Emotion is an event, a range of slippery states complicated by words. The woman I thought was a friend kept calling me impeccable. At first, I mistook the word for a compliment. Eventually, I realized her observation was cruel scrutiny. So I set out to see myself from every angle. This is how I discovered I'm spherical, a ball bouncing over words, illustrating a song. It goes like this: yes, yes, yes. I am 13. My neighbor, Mrs. Minetti, calls my mother and asks her to send me over to help with a few chores around the house. Her son is dead. She has a daughter living in West Virginia who will not speak to her. She calls me over because I am about the same age her daughter was the first time she ran away. Mrs. Minetti tells me how kids ruin even a very good marriage, and how much a mother can love a daughter, even if the daughter turns out to be a little whore. Then she pays me $5 and sends me home. While standing in the bookstore, pictures of elderly seniors having sex gets me aroused. I am not embarrassed admitting a preference for loose skin. My friend and I sit at a cafe to catch up on the past year. Since I've last seen her, she's lost her husband and a kidney. I've gotten a new pair of glasses. After a couple of cups of extra sweet tea, we each confess how we kill love. I learned my technique from a short story. You know how it goes. I take love down into the basement, get it drunk on sherry. Once it's asleep, I break up the door to the cellar. My friend kills love by putting it into a lobster cage, then rowing out to the middle of the ocean. When she drops the cage into cold water, she says, "See?" A friend of mine thought he fell in love with me. He was getting over an addiction to sugar, and I can be terribly sweet. Anyway, in the meantime, a new woman came to town who looked just like me, except for the fact that she was the daughter of a famous comedian. One day I found her and my friend's friend having sex in the faculty lounge. They did a pretty good job. I am on my way to Boston. A girl on the bus singing in Spanish has the worst voice I've ever heard. I write down reasons why I probably love you and hate myself for falling for any song, no matter how awful it sounds. Ahead head, a face, a ball, a bounce, a joke, a dress, a wish, a wall, a wrong, a game, a fall, a sea, a dish, a song, a bus, a tree. The composer gave a lecture on his new opera. We had arranged for a special dinner in his honor, but he was otherwise committed to spending an evening with friends, he said. I conveyed his regrets, called him a cab, then walked the long way home past an empty Chinese restaurant where I saw him sitting alone, one half-eaten plate of spare ribs beside an empty bottle of beer. Often I find myself falling for men who cannot handle themselves. I watch them become their own shadow, out of sight, out of mind. Some men climb out of my mind as if they were fleeing a flooded sewer. They twist open my ear, a wrought iron gate, scamper down my neck or up across my forehead. The stink on them may last for years. The stink on me, tiny, indelible footprints heading off in every direction. At a dinner party, I am told I sound just like a famous comedian. Around the table, my friends nod to note their agreement. I have never found her funny. And I tell them this. They say, see, you sound just like her. In the state park off Route 146, a man has been showing his penis to women. I want to take a look. On the way there, I drive past The Rustic, a drive-through movie house where I saw my first porno with my third boyfriend, Steve, who got arrested later that same summer for stealing a human head from Kellett Cemetery. He claimed he found it at the edge of the river and cleaned it with bleach and peroxide before deciding to use it as a bong. I'm not kidding. You know, I was surprised as the rest of you when she walked in carrying the baby. Not just a baby, but a baby with two heads. My sister called, checking to see if I was feeling normal. I read her a section from my essay, In Search of the Face. Said she could decide for herself. Just then, she was almost killed by a Detroit transit bus coming down the wrong side of the road. The bus driver was searching for seniors making out in the park after dark. He wanted to make sure everyone got home safely. He wanted to make sure everyone was using protection. My first night in the house, I heard sobbing coming from the basement. When I got there, I noticed the door frame to the fruit cellar had been bricked shut. I grabbed a sledgehammer from the wall of tools Mr. Malikian left when he sold me the place. I struck at the wall until I made a hole big enough to hear a voice. It was a face. I took off my dress, handed it to him to wipe his tears, then brought him to my kitchen, asked if he wanted something to eat. 2 scrambled eggs. A red balloon trapped in the branches of a tree outside my office window. 2 boys walking home without coats. Pointing up to the balloon being tossed by the March wind, one boy says to the other, "That's my tongue." Thursday night, driving to pick up dinner, 1 Chinese vegetable soup, please. 1 shrimp egg roll, please. A boy standing in the middle of the road gives the finger to his friend, who shouts from the top balcony of a robin's egg blue triple-decker house. I slow down, let the boy hurry to the sidewalk. As I pass him, he makes a motion with his hips to suggest having sex with my car. His gesture, a poor articulation of seduction, makes me lonely. So I park at the corner, get out, beckon him over. Facing the passenger side rear view, I move my pelvis as if scooping ice cream. I tell him, "This is how you wear it down," and I really put my ass into it. In my hometown, a man offered an undercover police officer T-bone steaks in exchange for sex, but because he didn't have any on him, he promised to pay the next day. By the way, solicitation also means to seek to obtain by persuasion, and the allure of humility plus gusto is often underestimated. By the way, his mugshot made the 11 p.m. local news, as if to say when you are bartering sex for meat, there's no messing around. You have to pay up front. Turns out my friend found her baby on the steps of the laundromat she works at in Brooklyn. I couldn't help myself, and I had to ask, how do you know who to love? I said, not leaving well enough alone. If two heads, then which face? My neighbors made a list of improvements they thought I should make to my home, and also let me know that my hair was in need of some work. To excuse their cruel scrutiny, they brought steaks to sear on my mini grill. So we were all sitting around in the backyard when they started to take notes on what's wrong with my face. Stand-up is harder than you think. My first joke had a long lead-in about a businessman on a trip to some foreign port of call with a few changes I made due to the fact that the joke is offensive to anyone named Wendy, and a usual overemphasis on the penis. It went like this. A man far away from home discovered his worst fear to be true, that compared to most men in the world, he was, in fact, very small. Nobody laughed. I told it again. Grand Central Terminal, the information booth. My friend waited to introduce her new baby to her mother. While watching the broken clock, my friend held her daughter close.